A storm is coming. Not just the one that's over on the horizon over there. A storm that's going to hit everybody, and it's going to impact the world and cause chaos, suffering, pain, confusion, and amazement. Amazement, and for some, massive reward, unlike any that's ever been seen before. Now, that all may sound a little bit outlandish and a little over the top. But look, we are living in a time unlike any other in history, and many of you have what's called normalcy bias. You don't understand how significant the changes have been for the last 100 years on planet Earth. The Industrial Revolution, massive population booms, the information age, space travel, modern medicine, industrial agriculture, the list goes on and on. And at this time that we're in now, it's not going to stay as it is. It is going to exponentially change. We are in a shift in the human zeitgeist, human consciousness as a whole, and almost prophetic change in the world. Right now, we have competing factors of what's going on. The list starts with something like AI, weapons of mass destruction, overpopulation in some areas and underpopulation in others, paired with a strong lack of trade skills in the West and not enough resources for the development of the East and Third World countries. So, this is just the basic setup that it's going to lead to massive turmoil. So, let's start off just very basically with artificial general intelligence. Who so far has been paying attention to AI? And to many people, it's astounding. Other people, they think it's not going to be a big deal. Now, I take a middle approach. I think the things that are promised AI is going to do very well will not be as significant, but unintended or unexpected things will be massively reshaping of our world with AI. So for starters, a lot of people have already seen AI came out, and many people said it was going to be the thing that enabled robotics to get rid of all the menial jobs nobody wants, right? Here's the problem. The physical dimension has so many uncalculable variables. It's actually one of the hardest things for AI to try and navigate, because you have to have the ability to use conscious awareness shifts to focus in on things that are immediately affecting you in a physical situation. Whereas with computers, they try to be totally aware of all things at all times. Which, how do you program a computer to be able to shift its attention to what is important in an individual moment, as opposed to all things at all moments, which takes massive computing power? So we have one edge, and it's that. Along with, some may say, we have the ability to tap into higher levels of information that aren't just physically present. Some might say it's from our genetic history, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, forever back. There is ancestral memory within our DNA that helps us in certain times and is activated when you don't necessarily expect it. Now, what AI has been doing well is AI is replacing anything that is data heavy or research heavy, or anything that is largely found in some type of software, um, you know, area. And so, for example, we've all seen it. AI can generate tons of images. It can make music. It can be a model for a clothing brand. AI is going to remove a lot of bureaucracy, and it's going to get rid of a lot of entertainment jobs. People didn't necessarily expect it to take this route. There will be full motion length movies that are going to be the highest grossing box office movies ever that will be generated by AI, because they will be able to composite all of the greatest movies ever made in history, and with the guidance of a director or producer will tune it into a masterpiece of a film. It will be the greatest of all films put into one. You also will need very little use for models or actors or actresses or singers for a lot of things, musicians. A lot of that stuff is done with business, right? People have to write musical jingles for a radio advertisement ad. They have to, have entertainment sometimes at parties or just elevator music, whatever it is. There's tens of thousands of those jobs that need artists for some type of advertising purpose, right? And entertainment purpose. A lot, I'm not saying all of it's going to go away, but probably a good chunk of it, 80%, is going to get rid of all of the backup actors and actresses. Probably most of the C rated actors and actresses, maybe up to B rated ones, will get wiped out. And this is going to have a big effect on not only a bunch of jobs, but it will also make it so that the influence of Hollywood or media or entertainment will be shifted down into even fewer hands, which will make those people even more important in a lot of ways. And those people will end up having major influence over the world as a whole. As we shift forward, it's going to compound to where there's going to be super influencers. You already may have seen it. There's going to be people like, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, the Kardashians. These are just a hint of what's going to happen. Not only this, with AI is going to be one of the greatest hacking tools in all of the information age's history. There will be probably no, as they stand now, passwords or security systems that AI will not be able to break into, and it'll do it in ways that are unsuspecting. AI is going to, through probabilistic calculations, figure out your passwords from past behavior history through other passwords that it may come across that you've used for other things in the past that get sold on the internet, and it will do a psychological profile on you to be able to figure out what email would be the perfect email to send you that you would click on and open some malware so that it could then embed itself in your computer to then be able to steal all of your information and break into your bank accounts. And the problem is some people might say not enough people could do something that crazy, but the thing is AI gets better and it becomes more available to more people. It's not going to take very intelligent people to be able to run these programs from anywhere in the world, and it'll be untraceable. So because of all this, there's going to be a counterforce, and that counterforce is AI will have to be used to fight fire with fire. Meaning, if you want to defend yourself from AI and all this stuff, you'll have to have your own AI assistant or something like that so that you can defend off other AI. And also, there's going to be so much AI on the internet writing news articles and junk, and you won't be able to tell what's real. You will not be able to tell what's real. It will be so convincing it's real. As convincing as me talking to you right now on this camera, you could probably question even if I'm real. Like, and when it gets to that level, yet again, you will need your own AI to be able to detect what it is that is fake and what is real. It will be nearly impossible. And the moving over step from this is what's going to end up happening is there will have to be a decentralized blockchain version of online identification that certifies whether anything you posted online or any type of transaction you tried to send across the internet is real or not. Otherwise, if you don't have that certificate or that cryptography key, like you would use almost like with Bitcoin or something like that, then there won't people won't accept your presence online, and it'll make it very hard for day-to-day things, even down to paying water bills at the water company, which will have online things to pay at, or asking people for money online if you try to run an online store or something like that. So it's going to get insane. I already see people who are older getting scammed left and right by very crude AI just scam phone calls. It's rough. So anyway, the internet will become a super dangerous place, and you'll almost need like an internet spirit guide just to get you to go through it. And then, the last thing, which is I am less worried about in many regards, is AI integrated with robotics. AI integrated with robotics is going to take out a fair amount of the market share as far as labor. Not all of it. Maintenance, service work, and certain types of agricultural jobs will not be nearly as affected. New construction in some scenarios will be taken over by robots. Painting robots, robots that do tiling, robots that may be able to spackle, those things might be able to be taken over. And in certain scenarios, some type of robots that can do framing. Now, a lot of these are more than likely, one, they have to be scalable, they have to be, mass market, and they'll be able to take on those jobs for certain types of buildings. They will be able to build houses with simple framing designs and put in some of the things, but not all of it will be able to be run by robots. And then truck driving. Truck driving is more than likely to get taken over by robots. It's not a matter of if, more of when. Now, look, just think about all the people you see who drive day to day, and you wonder how they just able to live driving. Robots will be better than them. And I know a lot of people may disagree with that one. I could go into it in much more depth, but it's highly likely. So this is just AI. And I'm talking about how the world is going to change massively in many ways. The other is also in regards to war, which is insane. Robots, AI, war. I don't want to be silly, but it's basically Terminator level warfare. Very close to it. The only way you will be able to beat these things in some type of conflict is going to have to be through human wit or specialized weaponry that is specifically designed to take out these drones and other things, and that will be very encumbersome on a battlefield. So there will have to be very like booby traps, or being out strategic with the person who's running the robots, stuff like that. And they're not going to have a conscience. You'll finally be able to have some leader who is maybe a little more amoral than the masses of people that they'll stick in charge, who will run these robotic systems and do things that they may have not otherwise been able to convince a average group of men or soldiers who are out, on a mission. And they'll be able to run further and farther. So we're already seeing the effects of it in the Ukraine war. There's a lot there to study. So I want to move away from robots and AI and all that stuff. The next big things are demographics. Demographics is a huge, huge, huge issue right now. And a lot of people are saying we're not having enough kids. Other people are saying we're having too many kids. Other people are saying it's not a big deal. Look, it's all dependent on where you are. And obviously, if it went down to 100 people left on Earth, that would be a big ideal. If it went up to 7 trillion people on Earth, that would be a big deal. Demographics do play a role in the world, right? The big things are, right? It's not space. We actually have tons of space in the world. We have arable land that very large. Industrial agriculture has enabled us to be able to boom in population size. And we still have more. That's not so much the big deal. Maybe seafood is a little bit of a risk, but other than that, there's other food alternatives. And the big things, as far as demographics really go to, is developed world versus undeveloped world. Here in the developed world, our demographics are skewed towards older, and they're skewed towards female as a whole. We have a group of people here in America that are going to need a large amount of financial and physical support to be able to live out their retirement years, especially as people are expected to live longer and longer. So as this happens, there is going to be more need for service work, more need for maintenance, more need for, well, silly things, golf courses, resorts, all that other stuff that old people want, and healthcare. Lots and lots of healthcare. That will drive up the price. So with this, as I said, there's more women in the United States. This is just the United States. This also kind of reflects in Canada and a lot of Europe. Most of the things you'll need is people fixing stuff for a lot of those older people if they continue living on. There is nobody going into trades. Like nobody. The average blue collar age in the United States is 54 years old. 54 years old is old in the trades. You have been doing it for 30 plus years and your back is broken and you don't want to do anything anymore and you're crabby. Think about that. That means that if that's the average, and above the average is people older than that. And when I say blue collar, I'm talking about more specifically trades, not necessarily like, I guess a security guard would be blue collar work, right? I'm talking about construction, HVAC, plumbing, electric, etc., etc. Some of those are company owners, but this stuff is not shifting down to the younger age. So what's going to happen is there's going to be large amount of infrastructure problems within the United States. The amount of pay you will be able to get if you're a young man interested in this stuff going into these things will probably be astronomical if things don't get so bad that no one even tries to fix anything anymore. And this leaves for more expense on the general public, more burden, which will make things go up higher in prices. And the only alleviating factors will be that food will probably get cheaper in the long term, not the short term, due to robots managing farms. And also, technology will be in entertainment next to free. That's another thing to talk about too. So you have all this, right? And then you'll probably have more brownouts, more, sewers backing up. Roads will have more potholes. Bridges will collapse more. Big ships that move, cargo will crash more. Trains will crash more because there's not enough in the West useful people for physical needs. There's more people who are pretty heavy in burden. And then also in this demographic skew, nobody in the West is having kids. nobody is having. So you're looking at this great scenario where there is old people and people who are already all here who need their infrastructure maintained, and no new people are coming in, and then on top of it, no new babies are being made. So there's going to be a super deficit of people to just work infrastructure. It's crazy. The prices will have to go super sky high to incentivize people to get into it because there's social stigma related to it. So, and then moving on to the kids thing. The kids thing is for many, many, many reasons, and a lot of it is very new to the human species. In just the last 70 years, we have said so much social change that has never existed before. We don't know how to handle it. And third world countries or other countries still haven't quite got to these points yet that they're capitalizing on this, but women were liberated, and it's good that they were, but the results of that is they are pickier now, and not as many babies are being made, and it's taking longer for families to settle down because of the abundance of options. This is going to lead to lots and lots of mental health problems. So many mental health problems in the United States because people will not have a family group. They will not have a social foundation for peace of mind and happiness. They're all going to be largely single, independent people popping in and out back into their parents' lives and then moving out and never establishing longer term relationships. It's going to be a time in the future where mental health is going to get so bad because people are going to feel so lonely and sad and lost that people will begin going massively crazy and rationalizing extreme behavior for younger people. And usually, historically, young men, whatever young men are left in all this, and they are more prone to violence and gang activity, which is they see it as their only way of elevating in a situation where things are stacked against them. I could go on for hours about all this stuff, and I'm brushing on all of these things. And the situation, just to give you a little more of a picture, it is going to be a lot of very tough times socially and financially in the West. Now, on top of that, the third world countries, they are chomping at the bit to industrialize, to expand, and to have all the things the West has had for the last 100 years. And when they do that, they are going to consume so many commodities, they will become unaffordable. Copper, steel, coal, water, wood, you name it, plastics, because they have to catch up with what we've been building for 100 years. They will have to in mass consume a gigantic amount of stuff to build up their cities, their homes, just have air conditioners, cars, etc. And right now, the globe is fracturing from a globalist system to a nationalist system. It's very obvious. All of the major politicians making waves right now are nationalists. Not approving or condoning of any of them, but you have Trump, the guy down in El Salvador, the recent guy trying to run for Poland, Bolsonaro has been trying in Brazil. There's a huge list, and it seems to be sweeping, which means countries are going to stop trying to help each other as much and focus on themselves and improving themselves. There's more people in the third world by far than there is people in the West. There is 1 billion people about in the West. I'm talking about Europe, Canada, United States, New Zealand, Australia, blah, 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 blah. The Commonwealth of the UK or whatever, that too. So there's 6 billion people who will need to buy, let's just say it's 2 billion or 3 billion. They all need to buy a ton of stuff all at once because they're wanting to separate. You're talking about extreme scarcity, right? And you notice how it's like one problem I'm stacking and one problem I'm stacking and one problem I'm stacking. Here's the real problem. When you stack enough problems, at a point, there's a break. And when that break happens, you go to massive war. Because every time, the basis of wars is about taking stuff. It's about taking land, taking resources, or taking market share in something like a currency. When we have these mass scarcities that I just talked about and everything, and politicians see that there's no quick fix and that they're heading for a total crash systemically, the next thing they do is they have to distract everybody because they don't want to get voted out of office. They take you to war. When all else fails, they take you to war. I think, what's his name? Gerald Celente says that. It's an interesting guy. So, look, there's this. There are some resources we're running out of. Silver is a resource we're running out of. We've now for 3 years been in a deficit in supply. Silver is used in every single electronic that you own. I don't know if you're aware of it. All the C4 circuit boards are under, I think it's about 30% silver to their soldering. It's crazy. And we're at the tune of like, it's about 20% deficit per year. And majority of the silver in the world has been mined out of all surface mines. There's like, they say 30% left on the surface or something like that. If you want more, you're gonna have to dig even deeper, and they're not even sure they can find it. It's crazy. And so this stuff just goes on, and the only real, maybe if we go to space, we go colonize Mars like Elon wants, go find more resources. That's really what it is, for a lot of things. Or here's what I'm doing. I'm taking control of my life completely. I'm sitting on raised garden beds. This is one part of my garden. I have other parts. I am in maintenance work. I have a maintenance company. Currently, I'm married. I have a nice wife. I love her very much. These are kind of the things I went over. And I'm getting on the internet trying to tell you guys ahead of all this. Now, you could think about this stuff in general, but look, I have studied this stuff for over a decade. There's so many angles to it. I can't get to all of it in a short video. I cannot get to all. I am just giving you brief cursory overviews. A lot of my videos have to do with self-ascension, enlightenment, improvement, things like that, right? You will have the chance soon to be tested, to see what your soul is truly made of. You will get to learn who you are. And I hope that you pass your own test. I love humanity. I love who we are and what we are. We're all we have in this world. And together we're very strong and we can do a lot of great things. But first we have to become aware, conscious, and learn what truth is so that we can try to together, get closer to, what our true purposes are. So, hey, thanks for watching. That's it for today. I gotta go. It's about to rain. Have a good one. Bye.